In view of the critical role the National Assembly plays in the nation's democracy, Nigerians have high expectations from the 10th Assembly, particularly regarding the implementation of the 2024 renewed Hope budget. The budget presented by President Tinubu of 27.50 trillion is the first of its kind by the government. There is strong emphasis on addressing the nation's economic challenges, reducing the high cost of living, and supporting small businesses. Additionally, the Assembly is expected to prioritize people's welfare by supporting government in promoting development of small and medium-sized enterprises to boost overall performance. Today, it is all about setting an agenda for the National Assembly, focusing on the critical role the Assembly will play in 2024 towards positioning Nigeria on the path of sustainable development. Welcome to 30 Minutes on NTA News 24. I'm Lydia Sampson. Our first report by Thomas Ogbetere is looking at how the National Assembly is addressing key issues and setting agenda for the year 2024. Following the presentation of the 2024 budget by President Tinubu, how is the 10th Assembly focusing on thorough scrutiny and support for the budget's provisions? Let's get this and more from Thomas Ogbetere's findings. Over to you.
The National Assembly, according to experts, is strategically positioned and enabled by law to address key issues through a multifaceted approach. This may often involve fostering a spirit of cooperation among members, irrespective of party lines, by engaging in a robust parliamentary debates to collectively get a comprehensive agenda. Encouraging bipartisan collaboration, the Assembly must tackle pressing national issues with a united front.
We already have a legislative agenda, and of course, we saw a lot of motions, there are a lot of bills coming up almost on a daily basis. So it's not anything too different from what we are used to doing, except that what everybody calls the budget was passed, and we will swing into action. All standing committees of the House will swing into action, especially to try to make sure that the oversight functions are carried out, as our direct responsibility, and many other things. We will be doing our making of laws and all of that. So it's not anything different from what is expected of Parliament.
Do effective oversight in line with Section 88 of the Constitution. Let them do effective oversight to ensure that the ministries, departments, and agencies are able to implement the laws that are made, implement these policies. Because if they make laws and they are not enforced, it makes no sense. The only laws they make that citizens will appreciate that the laws have been made are the ones that are enforced for the good of the citizens.
Expert reiterates that expectations as the Green and the Red Chambers resume to kickstart legislation for the year 2024, their areas of focus should revolve around critical aspects such as economic recovery, healthcare improvement, national security, and infrastructure development, among others. By prioritizing these fundamental areas, they noted the Assembly will be able to contribute significantly to the nation's overall progress.
It will be wrong that projects are appropriated from funds released and they are not executed. Then it's like letting the electorates down. The electorates are looking up to them to carry out effective oversight function that will make the ministries, departments, and agencies deliver on their mandate. So they need to really monitor the executive arm of government to ensure that they do their work.
We have so much of poverty, staring everybody in the face. Things are quite difficult, and this administration is also prepared to deal with those issues. But it takes time, and all we try to do is to make sure that every point at which we have to make a legislative intervention, we definitely do. So I think any matter that comes up that needs any kind of intervention that requires Parliament, the Parliament is ready.
In response to President Tinubu's presentation of the 2024 budget, experts say The National Assembly must be proactively engaged through monitoring process. This, Kipley has said, entails a detailed examination of implementation of budget provision to ensure they align with the needs of the citizens. They are also emphatic that the Assembly should be committed to providing support for budgetary measures that promote economic growth while maintaining a vigilant eye on fiscal responsibility.
If the budget is presented timely, and the procurement procedures are also observed timely, and also the financial commitment of that is the releases are made timely. This helps the budget to be implemented in good time.
Because the budget will tell you what government plans to achieve. And I followed part of the scrutiny discussion by the National Assembly on the Ministry of Works, for instance. The kind of allocation that ministry had didn't really show that we are ambitious and whether we are actually, going to address this problem about our road infrastructure headlong.
I expect that even ward chairmen and ward executives of political parties should show interest in the budget that has been passed. When they look at the budget, they will know what is put for their constituencies and then use that to begin to engage the legislators. I expect even opposition parties to look at the budget and be able to use it and begin to demand that the people that are representing them execute those jobs. It is when they start doing that that you see that there will be checks and balances, and they need to put the people on their toe to make sure that they give the people quality representation.
Much is provided for them. It may not meet up exactly the expectations of the people, but flowing from the fact that we are coming from, trying to come out of the woods. So there are strategic instruments that are put in place which are supposed to address, this question of hunger, poverty, and food sufficiency. And those provisions are made in the budget. But of course, you must know that it's not going to be automatic, but gradually it will improve if the implementation is properly done. And that's why I'm happy that Mr. President suspended some of the programs that were hitherto handled by this humanitarian ministry, affairs ministry, and all of that. And you can see some investigations are also ongoing. I strongly believe that if those projects and programs are driven accordingly, they will get to the very ordinary persons that need it much more than any other person.
They were also quick to say that the National Assembly must play a pivotal role in realizing the budget objectives. This includes overseeing the effective implementation of budgetary allocations, crafting legislative initiatives to address national concerns like economic hardship, agriculture, education, anti-corruption efforts. The Assembly must actively contribute to equitable national development.
At all levels, government at all time, government at all costs has priority. So it depends on the budget priorities. Now you look at the provisions in the budget. Not only looking at the provision, you look at how efficient those content can be achieved. That is the responsibility of the executive arm. It's also the responsibility of the legislative arm at the federal and at the state level. But it doesn't even stop there. It also lies to the responsibility of civil society organizations or communities involved in general.
Focus on big construction of roads, opening up the country, in connecting every region, and making sure that we're able to reflect the economy by that. Because when you connect the people, when you connect communities, then transactions can happen. Activities can go on. Trade, intertrade within those communities movement of goods and services can easily occur.
Other issues are the fundamental inclusion of citizens' opinion being integral to shaping the National Assembly's commitment to effective governance, soliciting public input through channels such as town hall meetings, surveys, and public hearings. They note it ensures legislative decisions align with the diverse needs and expectations of the people. Therefore, incorporating citizen perspective remains sacrosanct, adding that the National Assembly should always enhance the legitimacy and effectiveness of its actions towards inclusion and equitable distribution of resources.
Like I have said, the citizens are expected to feed them with information. The citizens are supposed to monitor execution of these projects and give information to their legislators. The citizens are supposed to carry out need assessment. Sometimes if the citizens don't tell the legislator what they want, the legislator may go and put something that the citizens don't want. That's why I see some people, borehole is put for them when what they want is primary school. It's because there is no good relationship between the legislator and his constituents. So the constituents need to feed the legislator back with information. Sometimes projects are given and the contractors may execute substandard projects or abandon the project. It is the duty of the citizens to draw the attention of the legislators to this. But again, corruption in our society is so much that even leaders in communities who should draw the attention of the legislators to these things oftentimes look away.
So when people talk about constituency projects, I will tell you that in most cases, the man who represents a people, he knows more of the problems of the people. And so if I have water in my community or in constituency, in community A in my constituency, I'll be able to know that what they need now is maybe a market and not water. But if you sit down here in one office in Abuja here and suggest that let's give everybody water, you don't even know whether we have water. So members, while doing the budget, always believe that there are specific projects that touch on the lives of the very ordinary citizens in their constituencies.
On legislators executing constituency projects, the re-echoed transparency and accountability are paramount. They acknowledged well-executed projects will positively impact communities. However, stringent oversight mechanisms, they insist, must be in place to prevent misuse of funds. They reiterate the alignment of projects with consistent needs assessments.
The civil society organizations and the constituents need to really be alive to their responsibility. And that is why the agencies of government should be alive to their responsibility. Why will a legislator execute project? Their job is not project execution. Their job is to monitor, make laws, appropriate funds, and monitor execution through oversight. If they now go to execute, who will monitor them?
Well, I don't know about legislatures executing their projects. Legislators have specific functions. We make laws. We also oversight the various ministries, departments, and agencies. We also, represent our people. To that extent, you try to bring programs and projects of government closer to your people.
They are categorical that while seamless collaboration between the three arms of government is necessary, it is also expedient for separation of powers, check and balances among the different arms of government.
Our next feature by our reporter Stephen Wokolo interrogated the National Assembly's agenda, which prioritizes areas such as good governance, national security, economic growth, and social sector reform. What are the strategies aimed at addressing the country's challenges? How essential is it for the lawmakers to prioritize equitable allocation of resources, the promotion of development, and the improvement of citizens' welfare in order to cushion the effect of current economic challenges? Stephen, please take it from here.
Setting an agenda is an organized plan of projections, issues, or matters to be attended to in the near future. It also refers to the identification and prioritization of issues that will be considered by the National Assembly in any given period of time, especially relating to any given budget cycle.
The Assembly, that's why often than not you find that when the budget is submitted to the National Assembly, they jack up some of them. They will increase, some of them. Some they will reduce. They vary from here to here, put this one here. Why? Because they are representing people. They know what the people want. If the executive, the budget does not meet the yearning of the people, the man from my constituency will say, no, there is supposed to be a bridge there, which we'll be talking about for long. So include the cost there of that bridge. So it will now increase the cost of the budget, and that's why often sometimes you hear that the National Assembly has increased the budget by so amount, so take care of certain areas that perhaps the executive may not have. So the agenda of the National Assembly is not something that is done in isolation of what the executive want to do.
The primary purpose of legislative efforts on matters of national importance is to ensure the provision of effective and efficient responsiveness to the yearnings of the citizens they represent. This is taking cognizance of the fact that Nigeria, as a country, is grappling with the challenges of socio-economic development, insecurity, institutional reforms, amongst other developmental challenges. Onus therefore lies on the National Assembly to rise up to the occasion of setting an agenda and charting a way forward to meet the aspirations and yearnings of Nigerians towards changing the narrative for good.
If the electors are able to elect assembly members that one are true representatives of people, knowledgeable, to a very large extent, have their own independent way of thinking, and are also economically independent to an extent. So if you elect such people, then you are likely to have people that will have their own mind. They can be influenced easily.
While some political watchers agree that the National Assembly, irrespective of their independence from the other arms of government, is expected to work in synergy with the executive to roll out policies that will address issues of hunger, poverty, insecurity, and other divisive tendencies in the land. Others say the idea of total eradication of these anomalies may be daunting.
The agenda by this person, National Assembly, will work for the benefit of the man on the street, because this governor is just one person elected by everybody, isn't it? But in our own constituencies, we are divided into several constituencies because we do not have the same problems in the states, not talk about Nigeria. So I have somebody who will now go and then look after my interest. Maybe I'm for an area where what bothers us is the bridge, because we have rules that the bridge, we don't have money to do it. So one government to build the bridge for us so that we can be able to move around. Or we are in a place where the problem is that of school, or is health, or is how to get employment for our people. So different people, they have different problems. So that's why you have different representatives who will come to National Assembly and now fight for their own people. So all these people now coming together will now ensure that whatever the president or the governor is bringing reflects the interests of the average man in the constituency.
However, they noted inclusive governance demands public participation in the agenda setting of this arm of government, given that there should be a public hearing, consultations, and feedback mechanism that will enable citizens to ventilate their concerns and make contributions towards shaping the legislative agenda.
Generally, we also see the suffering of people where we were able to distribute rice, but that will never be enough, because one day food or 1 week food is not what the people want. The people want good life. Good governance is synonymous with good life. If that is not if it doesn't equate to that, that means something is lacking, and we have to put that into perspective. I also know that a lot of infrastructure is being lacked. A lot of tech things are being lacked. So these are things we are coming back to do. This is almost one of the first time that you can see that budgets were passed on record times. So if budgets are funded, there's no reason why those things in the budget wouldn't actually go on. The problem in the past, others have been doing well, but the problem in the past is that when things are not done, repeatedly it comes into the budget without being done, then it becomes, you start having some issues with that. That people don't see the budget. The budget is like any other product. The people have to see the budget. on their roads, and the pump water, in their lives, in the school. Budget is I would say, intimately connected to the people.
This, according to them, will no doubt enhance the democratic legitimacy of the process.
That the terms and conditions under which the loan will be borrowed will not in any manner compromise the sustainability of the Nigerian economy, hinder the integrity and independence of Nigeria as a sovereign nation. That the terms and conditions of the loan from the funding agencies be forwarded to the National Assembly prior to the execution of same for concurrence and proper documentation. I saw
Agenda setting, which is a dynamic and complex process, also sets timelines to evaluate key performances indices and, of course, sets the stage for legislative discussions and actions.
So I think we're making progress. But as for the agenda of the National Assembly, I believe that you may not likely see an independent National Assembly that can implement its own agenda independent of the influence of the executive because of how they come to be.
The involvement of various stakeholders, thorough evaluation and commitments to the democratic principles key players acknowledge will go a long way in addressing the issues plaguing the socio-economic development facing the nation.
So if we are revising, why are we not using the current rate of 800 naira, which we have just passed into law? Because that is why it was revised.
Urge the Federal Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs to direct its agencies to provide relief materials, especially building materials, to the victims of the crisis with immediate effect to enable them relocate back to their homes and decongest the IDP camps.
Well, the message I have is that, you see, I would like a situation like, we have said here, that the National Assembly members represent their people well. They should not allow their own personal interest to override the interest of the people that elected them there. Because often than not, the people are not happy because they see them concentrating more on, like you hear the last time, budgeting heavily for their own comfort.
It is the consensus of the people that there should be in place a dynamic framework to highlight and establish goals.
Hotels may intend to have this facility, but they don't have as much money to put into it. The banks must give them facility with certain low interest rates for them to do this. Once they do it, they'll be able to pay because they have reduced an enormous part of their expenditure. So these are things, because if you look at the UK and other, what they do is that they give those people some loan to do it. And when you generate more than you can consume, you can also sell. You can also upgrade to the grid. We haven't come to that, but let people also generate enough for themselves. And that's how it is. The people that does, if you can't even operate to the grid, you will have those outlets where people with electric motors can also charge their cars. And there's income coming to the person. And also tax paid to the government. These are areas you can do this. In the case of that, you can also use renewable waste. When you have waste to energy, if you do that, you are not only reducing the waste in the society, you're also converting it into something usable. And remember, this takes a long time to continue. The energy will carry for a very, very long time.
With plans as well as key performance indicators for timely achieving the goals in all sectors for even and equitable development.
Indeed, the National Assembly plays a vital role in ensuring good governance, promoting democracy, accountability, and transparency through its legislative representational and oversight functions by ensuring that government's actions align with principles of good governance. The National Assembly contributes to the overall well-being of society and the effective implementation of policies that benefit the citizens. From our findings, Nigerians are optimistic that indeed 2024 will play a pivotal role in shaping the country's future for good. Thanks for watching. I'm Media Science.